How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Royal Download. This week we got the NFL preview for you guys, and we will be breaking down the AFC, giving our playoff predictions, division winners, who will be in the wild card, and who will be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. So let's start. Coach Groves, can you give your prediction for the AFC East?
Oh, well, AFC East, obviously everyone is thinking the Patriots, and I'm going to stick with that. The dynasty continues in the AFC East, and I think the Bills will come in second, and I think the Jets come in third, and the Dolphins come in fourth. My prediction for the Patriots, anywhere between 12-4, 13-3 is my prediction for their season, and I think they'll get the number one seed in the AFC.
I agree mostly with Tyler there, except I don't think the Patriots get number one in the full NFC or AFC. And I think that the Jets and the Bills switch there. I think that Le'Veon Bell is going to push the Jets a little bit farther up above the Bills.
I got New England winning as well, but I think it's going to be a close race down to the end between the Bills and the Patriots. Patriots have a few injuries on the offensive line. They've been struggling for offensive linemen through trades the last couple of weeks. So I think Patriots go 10-6. I think the Bills go 9-7, get a wild card spot.
Do agree with most of you guys. However, I think that New England might be a 2 seed as well, just based on, like Connor said, the injuries with David Andrews, who had the blood clots recently this week. They've already got N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver that they just drafted. He's already on the IR. So it could still be the same, but at the same time, I think they still at least are the division winners, and then agree with David as well how the Jets should be in second over the Bills. But the Jets could sneak in a wild card based on if they just get hot down the stretch, but it should be at least New England all the way.
I got to go with the Patriots also. You definitely can't bet against Brady and Belichick. I'm thinking like 11-5, 12-4, probably a 2 seed. And then I don't see one of the other teams in that division getting a wild card, but I could see the Jets coming in second, possibly fighting for one.
All right, let's move on to the AFC North. I got the Browns winning that division, 13-3.
Of course you do.
Number one seed.
Guaranteed.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. I think I think the Browns could win it. They're probably going to have a good year, but I think everyone's overhyping them, and I think it might get to their head. So I'm going to say the Browns get the wild card and go 9-7, 10-6 in that area, and the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers, revenge year, take the division at either 10-6, 11-5.
I'm going to agree with Connor and K-Peck here. I'm going to go with the Browns. I think it's going to be a close race between the Browns and Steelers, and the Steelers might steal a wild card. But I don't see their pass game going well, especially with the loss of Antonio Brown and leaving Ben Roethlisberger to try and find a different receiver to throw to.
Like they've already stated, I agree that's going to probably be the Browns that win the division. But main reason is while they do play the Steelers obviously twice, the Steelers still haven't addressed that secondary issue, as they are probably one of the worst secondaries among the top teams in football. And yet still at the same time, the Ravens could do something, but now you have a year's worth of film on Lamar Jackson, even though it was about like 8 games that he played in. But now you're going to know that if he doesn't develop as that pocket passer, that they're still going to struggle at the end of the day. So should be the Browns winning at around probably a 10-6, 11-5, and then the Steelers or Ravens that could fight for a wild card spot.
Yeah, I also got to go with the Browns. I really like what Baker's been doing. I could see the Ravens possibly battling them out for the division title and possibly getting that wild card. I think those teams are definitely the 2 favorites. Steelers could possibly get in there, but I like the Browns, the Ravens possibly getting the wild card.
All right, let's move on to the South. That's going to be a little shaken up now. Andrew Luck's out. Who do you guys still have?
Well, I still have the Indianapolis Colts. Everyone's counting them out now. Everyone's saying, "Oh, well, they're done. No more Andrew. They have no chance." Jacoby Brissett's a good quarterback. In 2017, he did only go 4-12, but that was a terrible team with a terrible roster around him, and there were several games where they were leading heading into the fourth quarter that they should have won and just ended up losing close margin, I should say, if I can talk. So the Colts, I think, are going to go 10-6, maybe 11-5 if they're lucky. They have an easy home schedule. Jacoby Brissett's a pretty good quarterback. Colts think he's top 20. We'll see if that happens. But he has weapons around him, and he also has a good defense and a running back and also an offensive line ahead of him to support him. So I got the Colts going number 1. I do think the Texans or Titans will battle for a wild card spot and will be close in the division race as well.
Yeah, I think that the Texans are going to win this one. I don't think that the Colts can still win the division without Andrew Luck. I do think that they'll be able to fight for a wild card spot, but I don't see them winning the division.
This is my shocker, the whole NFL. I got the Jaguars winning that division. 10-6, I think Foles kind of revitalizes that offense. I think they still have a good defense. And then I see the Colts falling out. I don't think they win more than 6 games this year.
Like it was already stated, I've got Houston winning the division, especially when they just addressed one of their biggest needs, offensive line, right when all the rosters are being shaken up. They just pulled Laramie Tunsil out of Miami, also getting a nice receiver in Kenny Stills. So it's more offensive weapons for Deshaun Watson, who we know is at least a capable quarterback and could possibly push for an offensive player of the year type year. And at the same time, yes, they lost Clowney, but they still had so many decent pieces on the defense that they should be capable enough to push for this division. And then, really, that second spot is up for grabs among any of the teams. Jacksonville still has a strong defense. Tennessee just has decent depth all around. And even if Mariota goes down, you have Tannehill that could back him up. And the Colts, like Tyler just said, that Jacoby Brissett is better than a 4-12 quarterback. He should at least guide them to above 500. And the Colts could still push because they have a better roster than that 4-12 year. And even proved, coming off of 9 of 10 down the stretch, that anybody could step up as they have depth at almost all of their positions.
I'm going to agree with Tyler on this one. I think that the Colts are going to take the division. I think it's going to be one of the closest division races in the NFL this year. I think the Texans are going to fall off a little bit this year after winning the division last year, but Colts are much improved from the last time Brissett was the starting quarterback, and I really think that they're going to be motivated coming off the confidence that they had from the end of the season last year. I think they're going to take the division title.
All right, going on to our last division, the West. Can we stop the Chiefs this year, or is this the Chiefs to lose?
I think it's going to be close between the Chiefs and the Chargers. When you look around, predictions all over, a lot of people have the Chiefs, but then there are some people who even have the Chargers going to the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. I think it's going to be a close race. I think whoever doesn't win the division will probably have a good shot at being in the wild card. It's going to be close. I will side on the Chiefs side just because Patrick Mahomes is my fantasy quarterback, and I hope he does well. So I'll go with the Chiefs. I think they're going to be right around 10-6, 11. Well, I would say 11-5, 12-4, and I think the Chargers will be probably right around there too. So it's going to come down to those 2 games that they play, one in Kansas City, one in LA. Who wins those head-to-head, I think it will come down to, and it will go down to Week 17, I think, on who will win that division.
Yeah, I think if the Chiefs are going to win this one, I think Los Angeles, especially with Melvin Gordon holding out with his contract, so their run game is going to be slowing down, and the Chiefs are just going to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I see this as the Chiefs to lose. They could go undefeated this year. This offense, one of the best ever, speed everywhere. But I do think the surprise team, I think the Raiders make a wild card spot this year. I think Gruden kind of gets back to form, needed a year to get back into it, got some more weapons on offense. I think the Raiders could be a surprise team this year.
Really think it's just like it was stated earlier, it's going to go down to the Chiefs and Chargers. I mean, the Chiefs, one of the holes towards the end of the year was obviously the run game because they lost Kareem Hunt to his suspension, but then they pick up LaShawn McCoy, who was for some reason cut by the Bills, and then still have Damian Williams, who proved to be decent down that stretch, even in the playoffs. The Chargers, their big issue right now is the injuries, as they've already lost Derwin James for a significant amount of time, and he could be a major factor in what should be a very decent Chargers defense. And then even like Connor said, the Raiders could push. I do see them maybe at least doubling their win total from 3 wins last year?
3, I think.
They should at least get 6 wins, and Derek Carr, I think, does have a better improved year as he now has more pieces on offense to work with. But again, I think it's going to be the Chiefs and then at least the Chargers for another wild card spot.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Chiefs. Like Connor said, great offense, obviously with Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. I think that they're going to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I like the Chargers getting a wild card. I think they'll have a chance to fight the Chiefs for the division title. I think the Chiefs are just too talented not to win that division.
All right, moving on to the playoffs. Who do you see coming out of the AFC this year? Who will be in the Super Bowl?
Well, I got to give my 6 teams first. And we can't just go skip straight to the Super
right.
Bowl.
All right.
Come on, Connor.
We're at least saying New England, correct?
Yeah, I have New England. I said 1 seed earlier. I think they'll get one of the top 2 seeds. I think I misspoke. I think they get one of the top 2 seeds. They'll have a bye. It doesn't really matter which one for them. I think they can win on the road or at home in the playoffs. Tom Brady is lights out in the playoffs. So it doesn't really matter for them. I have them at the 1 or 2. I think the Chiefs will also be a top 2 seed. Then I have the Colts. Then I have the Steelers winning the North. Sorry, Connor. Sorry, K-Pack. I have the Steelers winning the North. So those are my 4 divisional winners: Patriots, Chiefs, Colts, and Steelers. And then my 2 wild cards, Chargers and Browns, I think, are the 2 wild card. And I think that would be a cool playoffs for the AFC side. A lot of storylines. I think my championship game would be the Patriots, and I have the Chargers going to the championship. They're as a 5 seed or 6 seed. They'll be on the road, but I do believe that Phillip Rivers will finally start to do something in the playoffs and will maybe win one. But coming out of the AFC, I can't bet against New England. I think the dynasty has a good chance of continuing. Now that I think the Chiefs are about the same, a little bit, and they're about the same, or maybe even a little bit weaker than last year. And then I think the Colts losing Andrew Luck obviously kind of takes them out of the Super Bowl race, I think. But I still think they'll make the playoffs. So I think it's another chance that the Patriots could go and win another Super Bowl. So I have the Patriots coming out of the AFC. As much as I hate to say it, by the way. I hate the Patriots. But.
Yeah, so I think that the Patriots, they obviously win their division and advance to the playoffs. I think that the Chiefs advance ahead of the Chargers. But the Chargers will push for a wild card spot. I have Houston coming out of the South and the Browns coming out of the North. But I think that out of those teams, the Colts and the Steelers are going to push for a wild card spot, but I think there's only one left with the Chargers are going to secure the other one. I think the Colts can push and make that wild card spot, but I see the Chiefs and the Patriots going to the
rematch.
Yeah.
All right, I got number 1 seed. I got the Browns this year. I really think stars are aligning.
Shocker.
I'm going Browns, Chiefs, then the Jags, and then the Patriots. I don't think will have a great regular season. I think they'll struggle with that offensive line. Then I think the Bills will have the first wild card, then the Raiders, and then I think it'll be Chiefs-Browns championship game with the Browns advancing to the Super Bowl.
Homer. We have a Homer.
No, I don't have the Browns getting the number 1 seed, but I do think that Cleveland could vie for a top 2 spot, but that front end of the schedule is a little bit heavier, especially with games like you've got LA Rams on a Sunday night game. You've got at New England at one point. You've even got at San Francisco, which could be a major
Colts,
bump.
week 5.
They don't play the Colts.
Oh, we're not. Sorry, I was thinking the Chiefs.
No.
My bad.
But I think it's at least New England gets one of the top 2, and then probably going to be the Chiefs again for the other one. But then it would be the Browns and the Texans. Thinking the Browns get the 3rd seed with the Texans going 4. Then probably the Chargers at least getting the 5. They're just probably the strongest out of any of the wild card teams you would have left. And then that probably leaves me with really anybody. I mean, it might be Pittsburgh, I would say, as the 6. So then you have a nice Browns Steelers wild card game in Cleveland. I think the Browns win that. Then I think probably that Chargers are just a good team, especially when they're basically used to playing on the road, especially with the stadium they're in. So they probably could pull it out against Houston, who is also known to not be the best when it comes to playoff time. So then that gives you New England, LA, which was another rematch of last year's divisional game. And then that gives you Cleveland versus Kansas City. I think Cleveland wins that, and so does New England, but I do think New England eventually does go to the Super Bowl.
So for my top 2 seeds, I got the Chiefs as the 1, Patriots as the 2, and then the Browns and Colts as the 3 and 4 as the other division winners. And then for my wild cards, I like the Chargers and the Ravens. And then out of that, I see the Chiefs and Patriots, the top 2 seeds, getting back to the AFC Championship for a rematch once again at Arrowhead. And this time, I think the Chiefs are going to take them down and end the Patriots' reign and head to the Super Bowl.
All right, and then coming out, who do you think some of the MVP candidates are in the AFC, other than obviously Patrick Mahomes, but you think there could be anybody else?
Patrick Mahomes, I think, is definitely one. I read an article by I think it was Peter King, that he wrote Jacoby Brissett would be 3rd in the MVP. So you never know. Maybe my man Brissett. But I think it's Mahomes to lose, to be honest. I think there's some contenders in the NFC. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers could have a big year. But we're focused on the AFC. Maybe Baker Mayfield, if they have the year that some people are thinking they might. I don't think they will. But if they do, then maybe Baker Mayfield. But my money's still on Mahomes. He's also my fantasy quarterback, like I said, so he better have an MVP season because I need to win. So, anyway.
Yeah, my two MVP candidates that I'm going to go with are Mahomes and in the NFC, Breeze. But a sleeper that I like to throw, and if the Texans have a good season, I think Deshaun Watson could pull out an MVP season.
If his line can protect him.
Yeah, I think it's Mahomes' race to lose. I think that offense is just going to put up way too many points, but I also think Baker could, depending on the Browns' year. And then I think you could look at Derek Carr, too. I think they could be down in a lot of games, and that'll play a big impact on his stats. And they like to go for storylines a lot, so I think that could be a great storyline.
Like everyone's been saying, I do also think it's Mahomes' to lose because he's just got so many weapons on offense. I mean, obviously Tyreek Hill is still there. Now you have LaShawn McCoy to give you a solid running game. And then even looking at it, Brady could vouch for an MVP candidate if he puts up all right numbers. You look in the North, there's still Baker Mayfield, who could obviously, if he has the year the Browns are waiting for, then yes, he could push for one. Even Roethlisberger, if he sneaks in a division title, he might be able to vouch for something, especially if Juju and James Conner help carry that offense. Like David said, if Watson has a good year for Houston and they win the division, he could have some credibility there. And even in the West, even Rivers with some of his weapons on offense like Keenan Allen, even if they lose Gordon, they still have Austin Eckler, who's a decent running back that can run the ball and even catch out of the backfield. So it's mainly Mahomes' to lose, but there's still a lot of people that could vouch for something and even push for possibly an MVP title.
Yeah, like everyone said, obviously Mahomes the favorite out of the AFC to possibly win the MVP. And then I also like Phillip Rivers. He's always consistent. He had a very good year last year. If he just improves a little more, he could definitely fight for an MVP. And obviously Baker, if he has a really good year, he could also fight for that. But I definitely see Mahomes and Rivers as the two guys that could possibly win it out of the AFC.
This has been the Royal Download preview podcast for the NFL AFC portion, and look for Tristan talking about the NFC.
Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to the Royal Download. You guys have already seen the first part, the AFC part. Now we're here for the NFC part. I'm here with a cast of characters, we should say. Nathan Gergen, Turner Graves, and Lee Cook. And we're going to go ahead and break down the NFC. So, guys, the NFC is an interesting conference. They're probably the stronger conference out of the two. Would you guys say that?
I would.
More than likely.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start talking about the NFC North. So what we're going to do is we're going to say who we think is going to win the division from each of the divisions. We're going to say our two wildcard teams each and who we think is going to be the MVP for the league. And then we're going to go ahead and break down our playoff brackets going into the Super Bowl and who's going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. So for the NFC North, so you have the Bears, the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions. Nathan, who do you have coming out of this division? And we know you are a Packers fan, but I think you're going to be a little realistic, are you?
Yeah, of course I'm going to be realistic. I follow the team too much, so I know way too much about the team. If this team wins more than 8, it's going to be a good season for Green Bay. So I'm not saying Green Bay. Detroit is a pit of mediocrity, to say the least. And Minnesota's probably on the decline. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to have a rebound year. I'm going with the Bears winning the division. I think it just
What
makes
record?
sense. 11-5, most likely.
5?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be tough.
Turner?
All good points. I have the Bears as well at 12-4. The 3 seed in the NFC.
Lee?
I have the Bears at 11-5.
I think that although they did lose Jordan Howard, they added David Montgomery, which may have been one of the best value picks in the entire draft. And I have the Bears at the number 3 seed in the NFC at a record of 12-4. So let's go ahead and go to the NFC South. And this is the division that has the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers. And I think we can pretty much guarantee that 2 of these teams will make the playoffs from this division normally. It kind of happens that way every year, and I think this year is going to be no different. So, Lee, who do you think is going to come out of the NFC South as the division champion?
I have the Saints at 14-2 coming
Oh
out
my goodness!
Wow,
14-2.
what a season.
Okay.
Wow.
in the first seed, and then I have Atlanta at 12-4.
Okay, so you think Atlanta's going to come out as a wild card?
Yes.
All right, Turn.
I also have the Saints going a little bit more safe, I guess, 12-4. And I have the Falcons at 11-5, but just out of the wild card. I do not think they'll make the
Ooh.
playoffs this year.
Wow. You have a very competitive NFC if 11-5 doesn't make the wild card.
I do.
I have the Saints, but the Falcons are going to make a pretty good run. I think New Orleans can have a 13-win season, and Atlanta 11 or 12. Now that Devontae Freeman's healthy for them, Calvin Ridley's doing better. I think, it's going to be tough. I don't think the Panthers and Buccaneers really have a chance in the division. So,
the Panthers are either going to be somewhat decent or abysmal this season. I think they're going to go 8-8.
Last year they started like 5-2, 6-1,
Yeah, they
and
fell
then just
off. Yeah. But this year I have the Saints winning the division at 13-3, and I have the Falcons going 11-5 to get the 5th seed in the NFC as a wild card. So let's go ahead and go into probably, I'd say, the most mediocre. They're not good teams, but it may be the most competitive division in the NFC, and that's the East. You have the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Redskins. And we know that 2 of these teams are not going to be very good this season. The Redskins and the Giants. So it's pretty much between the Eagles and the Cowboys.
All right.
Who do we have?
Next year.
Let's go ahead and go with Turner first. Turner, who you got?
I've got Philly as the 2 seed at 12-4. I think they're gonna have a
Whoa.
really good year.
That's a stretch.
A lot of people do not agree with me on this, but I think Philly's gonna come out strong. I can't really. People have asked me, not really sure why. I just haven't put like a single point on it, but they're winning this division this year.
What else what are some reasons that you think Philly can go ahead and
Carson Wentz is good. I mean, they've got
will
solid.
he return to the MVP caliber though? Will he return to that?
I don't think he's gonna be. He will definitely do better than he did last year, but I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be a solid year. He's gonna be a top 7 quarterback in the league, I think. Their schedule's not all too hard. They're in the East. They played the Washington Redskins and the Giants, so 4 times combined. That's 4 wins. So I mean, I really think that they're gonna go 12-4 this year.
All right, Lee.
I have Dallas winning the division at the 4th seed with 11-5, and Philly not making the playoffs with 9-7.
Do you have Dallas making the playoffs?
I do 11-5.
All right.
I also have Dallas 11-5, Philly 9-7. If Dallas is going to be aggressive with it because Dak wants money that isn't there in the Cowboys' payroll right now. Same with Amari Cooper, especially since they just re-signed Zeke. So they're going to want to keep this competitive window open for as long as possible. I think they're going to be quite aggressive this year.
So you don't have Philadelphia making the playoffs?
No.
I have both teams making the playoffs, but I have the Eagles as the division winner at 11-5, and I also have the Cowboys at 11-5. But because of tiebreakers, the Eagles go ahead and win the division. I think that both teams will be pretty solid this year. Defense is not necessarily a strength of either team, but I think they're gonna score a lot of points. So we'll see how that goes. Now we're gonna go to the West, and I mean, it's kind of a one-horse race in this division. I mean, I guess you can count the Seahawks in it, but it's the Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, and 49ers. Nate, go ahead and.
I actually have the Seahawks winning the division.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That is a shocker.
I mean, barely.
What's their record? What do you have?
I think 12-4, Rams 11-5.
Wow.
Because Gurley has some weird things going on with
arthritis.
Yeah, the arthritis, and it's just you kind of need your knee to run. So, and Gurley is good point.
I mean, he's not wrong.
And I mean, he's just been the anchor, and I don't Seahawks are getting. They're kind of buying players. They just acquired Clowney from Houston for nothing. I compare it to the Dutch buying Manhattan from the Natives. It was pretty lopsided. It was
Is that a history reference?
Yes, it is.
And the offensive line is improving. Russell Wilson just got paid a lot of money. I think this is going to be a good team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Seattle is going to. I have them at 10-6, but I have them as the first team out of the playoffs this year.
Ouch.
But I think the Rams are going to be 13-3. I think they're going to be as good as ever.
Goodness.
I think that Goff is going to have an MVP caliber season.
They play.
Personally,
They play the Saints week 2. Who do you have win that game?
I have New Orleans winning that one.
Who are your other 2 losses?
Don't exactly remember for mine, but I do have the Rams going ahead, and I have them losing to the Bears. I know that, but I have the Rams going ahead and winning the NFC West. And personally, I think that they drafted well. They got a new running back. If Gurley has the issues,
Darrell
he goes
Henderson
ahead.
is a solid backup.
And you add him in, and then you have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods to throw it to. They have a solid line. They lost Ndamukong Suh, but how big of a loss is that?
He
Not
kicks
much.
people. That's not very nice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not a
they
nice
added
trade
Clay
off.
Matthews on the defensive side. We'll see how
Hopefully he
much
doesn't
he has
get-
left in the tank.
7 roughing the passers again.
I mean, you have Aaron Donald. The team's going to be fine. They're going to be solid. McVay's an innovator. I think they're
Sean
going to be
McVay's a
fine.
genius.
He is a genius.
Turner?
I was just looking over it. I have Seattle winning the division, 11-5.
wow.
I have both teams going 11-5, but as you're saying, tiebreakers. I think Seattle. I have them 4-5 in the NFC. So I think Seattle, as Nate was talking about, Wilson, Chris Carson is a great running back. People don't talk about him enough. Tyler Lockett is a solid receiver. Their defense, not the Legion of Boom anymore, but still, it's going to be respectable enough to get them to 11-5.
They also have
in the
Rashad
division.
Penny as a backup running back if
They
they
do.
need a little bit of change of pace. Lee?
I have the Rams winning the division at 12-4. I think they're going to surprise this year, and then Seattle also making the playoffs at 11-5.
One thing,
Go ahead.
what do we have Arizona's record as?
Yeah, I was going to say, because
Oh.
I'm interested to see what happens with Kyler Murray this year. I'm going 6-10.
Whoa, that's a bit
That
of a
is-
4-12.
I have like 3-13.
1-15.
Wow.
I-
Okay, so we're all over the board.
Murray does not have the O line. I think that's why Rosen failed in Arizona
I
last
do.
year. Right?
I think
It's,
that's why all quarterbacks recently in Arizona failed.
The offensive
Carson
line
Palmer's
is
the
bad,
most
but the thing
good
is, when you're
quarterback.
talking about a guy like Kyler Murray, he is small. And having not a good offensive line will go ahead and
Destroy
highlight
that
that.
quarterback.
yeah,
but
I'm really
he
worried
is
about it.
mobile in the pocket, which can help. He can go ahead and we saw that at the beginning of Russell Wilson's career in Seattle. Horrible offensive line for like the first 2 years. He's still impressed because he was able to move out of the pocket. He was able to run. That's, I think, what Kyler Murray's going to do. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because I don't think he has as good of a supporting cast as Wilson did his first year. But I really do think that the Cardinals won't be absolutely abysmal. I actually have the 49ers as the worst in the division at 5-11. I personally am not buying into the Jimmy Garoppolo hype
Jimmy
whatsoever,
G.
and I don't think they have enough weapons to even remotely
They need to start
do
CJ
well. I mean,
Beathard.
and
Whoa.
Iowa fan.
Whoa.
but-
I'm kidding.
the thing is, Kyle Shanahan is an innovator there. I really like him as a head coach.
Just like
the,
Sean
the
McVay.
defense is going to be fine, but I just don't think they'll score enough points. I don't see enough help in the wide receiving core. They got Dante Pettis. I mean, that's
Their
about
receivers
it.
are so bad. I mean, Jarek McKinnon is their starting running back, I think.
No, and he's out for another season.
Matt
with the knee.
Breida.
He's going to be out 2 straight seasons. So now they have Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tevin Coleman's solid. He was solid in Atlanta, I think.
but he was also
I mean, he
a change
also-
of pace back.
They also have the San Francisco offensive line now to work with, so
Yeah.
yeah, they're not going to be good.
So let's go ahead and talk about. First of all, I have the Buccaneers as the worst team in the NFC at 2-14.
Wow.
I personally,
After Arizona, I have San Fran, Washington, New York, and Detroit all going 3-13.
I think all of those teams, records vary for me, but I mean, they are all going to be horrible teams. You're either
wow, Nathan
Can we
just saying
can
it
we
like
point
it is.
out can we point out Lee is a Giants fan?
Yeah, so
we should go ahead and
Giants-
say
I'm
that.
sorry, man. I did a. Yeah, I have a lot of say about the
Saquon and
Giants.
Saquon or bust. That's pretty much it.
Saquon will be carrying the
We'll
team.
have Golden Tate after the first 4 games because he's suspended for first 4 games.
Trying to have a kid. He got
Yeah.
suspended for it.
I have them going 6
Classic
and 10, which
Goodell.
is
All right. So, I have the Buccaneers as the worst, and then the Redskins going 3-13, Giants at 4-12. Those are my
I
bottom
have
3 in the NFC.
San Francisco at 1-15.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
You're really not buying into Jimmy Garoppolo.
Tampa Bay at 2-14 and Detroit at 3-13.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about who we think the NFC
Playoffs.
MVP is going to be.
player or team?
NFC.
Just the player. Like, who's the best player in the NFC? Who's
Oh
going to
my
be
goodness. All right, hold on. Give me,
What'd you say?
give me some time.
Lee?
Honestly, I think Drew Brees will win MVP overall.
League MVP.
It's about
Yes.
time.
I mean,
I think
has
the Saints
has
are
Brees
coming
ever
off.
won MVP?
The Saints are coming off, the rough non-pass interference call.
Yeah.
But I think they're coming back as a revenge season this year. They've got a little bit of chip on their shoulder.
He's won Super Bowl MVP when he
He
beat the
has.
Colts, but he's never won league MVP.
Nathan.
If Saquon was on a good team, he would be winning MVP, but he's not, so he's not going to win MVP. Plain and simple. Breeze is a very early favorite of mine, but I'm going to have to go. Julio Jones, I think, is going to have an amazing season this year. So.
Hopefully he scores before like week 6, like
Yeah.
he did last year. He
Yeah.
went 5
Yeah, I
games.
don't
without
The
know
guy's a
what happened
monster,
last year.
but they just don't throw him the ball in the red zone enough, which
I
is
don't get it.
stupid.
He's
Because
such a
he's
big
huge.
target.
I mean,
I don't
he has the range of pretty much anything. And I'm gonna have a league MVP that's probably the most shocking thing that's gonna happen this entire episode. Khalil Mack.
No.
It's not surprising.
No, it's
A,
not.
League
a
MVP?
defensive player winning league MVP. I
I
think
don't-
Khalil Mack will
I don't think
absolutely
he's
have
gonna-
a record-breaking season. I think he will break Michael Strahan's sack record.
I could see that. I don't think he's going
I
to
don't
win
think-
MVP.
I don't think
the
Strahan won
with
MVP when he set the
No,
stat
he
record.
didn't. But I think that he's gonna have as good of a season as like Jared Goff or Drew Brees, and I feel like that will get him the league MVP.
If the NFL's offense, like as a whole, was just in the toilet, I could see it somehow. But there's so many offensive weapons: Mahomes, Breeze. There's so many good running backs. Like, I don't see it in this generation. I don't see it.
Who do you have as your MVP, Turner?
NFC, Drew
Yeah.
Brees. Overall, Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean my pick for overall is Mahomes, but
Yeah.
just for the record, I mean it's kind of a
Yeah.
shoe-in. But let's go ahead and talk about the playoffs. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about your 5-4 matchup. So who is your 4 seed, who is your 5 seed, and who do you have winning?
Ooh, 4
So-
seed. I have Seattle, and 5 I have LA. So it's gonna be in Seattle. Regular season, Seattle and LA. I have Seattle sweeping them, and I'm gonna continue the trend here. I think Seattle's gonna move on
Ooh.
to play the 1 seed.
Yes.
They would play the 1 seed, so I think they're gonna win against LA.
So you're thinking, by my understanding, that Russell Wilson and the playoff experience is going to carry them, is what you're saying. Overall.
Against LA, and I think a worn-out Gurley after 16 games. Yes.
All right. Lee, who's your 4? Who's
4
your 5?
seed, I have Dallas, and 5 seed, I have Atlanta. And honestly, it'd be at home for Dallas, and I think Dallas can win that one at home.
Nathan?
I have Atlanta, Chicago, because like I said, I have Atlanta going to the playoffs. This is going to be an interesting
What was 5? What do you have as 4 and 5?
Yeah. Who do you
Oh,
have
Atlanta's 5.
Okay.
Chicago's 4.
Right.
Yeah, I think
We thought you had
Chicago's-
Saints as a wild card for a second, and we were all going to be surprised.
Oh, no. Yeah, but I do think Chicago's going to come away with it. I think Cody Parkey missing a field goal in Chicago, which was the greatest moment of me as a Packers fan, not even, well, maybe winning the Super Bowl, but
Maybe.
it's like Super Bowl.
It's like Super Bowl, Cody Parkey.
Oh my God, we had a
Okay,
lot of
so
fun that
so
night.
you have the Bears winning.
I do have the Bears winning that game. Barely, but I do have them winning.
Barely.
All right, so
Okay, done.
Sorry.
Oh. So the 4 seed I have is Philadelphia. The 5 seed I have is Atlanta, and I have Atlanta winning this matchup. I
On
feel
the
like
road.
I Philadelphia is one of the toughest places to play in the NFL.
It is.
But I feel like, I mean, Matt Ryan does have the nickname Matty Ice for a reason, and that is because he does not let pressure get to him,
I haven't
except in the 28-3 Super Bowl loss. But besides that, Matt Ryan has more experience than the Eagles in the playoffs, and I really feel like
The Eagles won the Super Bowl.
I know, but I feel like the Falcons can go ahead and do it. I feel like Matt Ryan will put the team on his back, and they will go ahead, and they'll be motivated to play the number 1 team, my number 1 seed in New Orleans. So let's go ahead and go quickly through 3 and 6. Lee, who's your 3? Who's your 6?
I have Chicago as 3 and Seattle as 6. With it being in Chicago, I think Chicago will win that one. I just don't think Seattle has enough offensive weapons to take down the Bears' defense.
Turner, 3-6.
Chicago, Dallas, Chicago at home.
Dallas, LA. I have Dallas winning that one.
I have Chicago, Dallas, and Chicago. So let's go ahead and one and whoever you have facing your 1 seed. Lee, who's your 1 seed, and who do you have facing them?
New Orleans is the 1 seed coming off the bye, and then I have
15-1.
I have them beating Dallas at home.
All right.
Dallas would be the 4 seed.
The Superdome.
I've got New Orleans as well as the 1 seed in the NFC, playing Seattle. I think New Orleans is going to win.
I got New Orleans as my 1 seed as well, playing Dallas. Oh, I'm sorry, no, they would be playing Chicago. I don't know why I said that. They would be playing Chicago. New Orleans wins it.
I have New Orleans versus Atlanta. That's always a really good game.
It is.
But
I feel like that's always prime time.
But I have New Orleans going ahead and taking the win. They're going to the NFC Championship. So who is going up against your 2 seed, Lee?
I have Chicago as my 3 seed, and then LA as the 2 seed. And
Looking at your computer, you haven't decided yet.
yeah, I'm not sure about this one. Being in LA, but I don't think I'm gonna have to go with LA on that one.
LA back to the
LA back
NFC
to
Championship.
So you have the exact same NFC Championship
Yeah.
as last year. All right. Turner?
I've got Philly as the 2 seed, Chicago as the 3 seed. I think Chicago will win in Philly. No Cody Parkey, no Eagles win.
All right.
I got Seattle as my 2 seed, facing up against Dallas.
I still can't believe you have Seattle as your 2 seed.
I have a lot of faith in them, man. I've seen the team.
seen
DK
the
could
Come back to this moment when the Seahawks
Seattle
are
goes
like,
8-8.
yeah.
the Seahawks 8, of course, because my predictions always.
Go ahead.
But Seattle comes away with the win.
All right, so you have them going to the NFC Championship. I have the Rams as the 2 seed, Bears as the 3 seed. I feel like the defense will be able to overwhelm the Rams offense, and I feel like the Bears will go ahead and win that one. And the NFC Championship will be New Orleans versus Chicago for me. Lee, who's your NFC Championship? Who you got going to the Super Bowl?
I have New Orleans and LA as a repeat in the NFC Championship, and I think New Orleans will edge them this year because, like I said earlier, they've got the chip on their shoulder, and
They also have pass interference challenges now.
yes.
Yeah. They're totally not gonna abuse that call ever. Not gonna abuse that challenge.
Turner?
New Orleans, Chicago, New Orleans.
Nate?
I got Seattle, New Orleans, with New Orleans coming away with wins.
I
Seattle
have
train is over.
New Orleans, Chicago, and my winner of the NFC is New Orleans. So we all have New Orleans winning.
Watch them go 8-8, guys.
I don't think the Saints are going to go 8-8, but for my Super Bowl, I'm just going to say it. I have the Saints and the Chiefs, and I have the Saints winning. I have New Orleans as my Super Bowl champions. Lee?
I have the same thing. I actually have a repeat of exact NFC AFC championships. I think the Chiefs will win the AFC championship, and then New Orleans will edge them in the Super Bowl.
Turner?
As long as Kansas City doesn't have to play in New England, they'll get to the Super Bowl, which I think they won't have to. And so I have New Orleans and Kansas City and New Orleans winning.
I also have New Orleans and Kansas City. I think Kansas City is amazing this year. Congrats to them. But in Kansas City, I think is going to win the Super Bowl this year.
All right. So that
AFC team.
is what we have for this episode of the Royal Download. We want to go ahead and thank all of you guys for watching and or listening whatever platform you are on. It's a great day. Football is back.
Back.
And
I
we are
woke
all
up-
excited
Go
here at
Packers.
Southeastern Sports Network. And we want to go ahead and
Go Pack Go.
No.
thank you for tuning in. That has been this episode of the Royal Download.
So, Bears are winning.
No.
Beautiful
2017 Packers.
Bears are winning.
Beautiful timing.
2017. Is that the last time they were good? 2017.